Okay, looks like it's working. I gotta saw a few pieces of some larger sticks to get that fire heated up. Getting old. Okay, nice and comfy. It's a nice Thorn Red Daeg Thursday. Feels nice. Not sure what the temperature is. It's probably in the 60s. A little bit of coolness with a nice fire in front is pretty comfy. Fire pit works okay. It's called a smokeless fire pit, and there's no smoke coming out of it right now, but it's not like it's smokeless all the time. Once it gets warmed up a little bit, it becomes smokeless, probably quicker than the average campfire because it has holes in it and a double wall, and it pulls the wood gas through the holes and up to the top where they ignite. And it works pretty good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up a little bit. And I'm going to cut an opening in the front and an opening in the back and set it up for an underground type fire and heat source. Using the concept of the Navajo fire hole. You're welcome to post a comment. I don't have any particular kind of topic or subject that I'm going to sit here and talk about. Really just sitting out here enjoying the fire. Green. Pretty green. sticks in here. Get some flame going. And get some coals built up in there. Work really good. That's one. Another bag of broken sticks. This green stuff burning. You're welcome to post a comment. I don't have anything particular I'm looking to talk about tonight. Oh, it's Sophia. Hello, Sophia. How you doing tonight? Yes, I enjoy sitting watching a fire. It's actually one of my favorite things to do when I was a young person. To me, it was well worth the work. Hello, just a little tired. Oh, that's normal. That's good. That's good. The last time I was sitting out here on a fire and and you stopped by, you weren't doing that good. I'm always fatigued, pretty much always. Unless I'm really busy doing something physical, then I don't think about it, and everything feels better. I also got myself some dopamine capsules, and that helps. You know, people do things to increase their dopamine, and you know, it could be something that they find exciting. It could be arguing. It could be anything to increase their dopamine level, and it makes them happy, and they don't, and it gets rid of fatigue. We got a world full of dopamine addicts. I don't want this phone to get too hot. Looked outside a bit today. They say we might get some rain tonight. I will believe it when I see it. I think you might have mentioned that the area you're in only gets like 15 inches of rain a year. Little. Yeah, that definitely makes things harder. There's a guy that I watch his videos. His channel is called Real Talk with Richard, and he has a family. He has a wife and children. I think he has 4 children, and they're homesteading in the desert in Arizona. And actually, it might have been him that said that they get 15 inches a year. But they're homesteading and gardening, and he gets into things that use less water. Like he's been doing a bunch of videos about prickly pear cactus that he's growing them. He gathered up a whole bunch of them, and he lined them up on his property, and then they created more, and then he took those more that were generated and took them off the plants and spread them out. And the last planting he did, it was like 350 prickly pear cactuses. And he did a video on how to prepare them, and him and his family eat them. I think that's an awesome thing. Cactus is used for a lot of food items. Yep, he cooks the pads, and I'm not sure if he eats the fruit raw or if he cooks it up. I want to say I remember him cooking up some, but that could have been someone else. I watch a lot of videos like that kind of stuff. The average rain here is 13 to 15 inches per year. Yeah, so that's similar. I think he stated that he's in northern Arizona. which if I was to go to Arizona for an adventure, like let's say a couple years, uh, that's where I would go. I've seen it in jelly and hot sauce and stuff, mostly canned. Oh, I've never seen it canned. I'm guessing the canned stuff is in with the Spanish foods at a supermarket. Northern Arizona is nice. I traveled through it. Yes, canned is jarred. Yes. Yes, there are areas up in the St. John's area that's pretty cool. There's still inexpensive land up in that region. If you were to type in owner financed Northern Arizona land, I can't think of the name of the website, but one of the first ones that pop up in a Google search. I don't think it's Landwatch, but it might be Landwatch. Landwatch is one of them. But still today, a person can get like 40 acres for 40,000. Window Rock is good. Is Window Rock south of St. John's? I think I've seen that recently. I think it is. I think it's south of St. John's. But St. John's is one of the cities that people go to that live in the remote areas around there. That they go there for supplies, whether it be building supplies or anything else, household supplies, food. Husband wanted to return to New Mexico. Window Rock is Navajo area. Okay. One of the places I was looking at, and I don't remember the name. I want to say Chandler, but it's similar to that. And then there's another one that begins with an S. And that area is near the Zuni area. Like if you were to go through New Mexico through the Zuni reservation, you would end up in that area of northern Arizona. Chandler is near Phoenix. Nope, that's the wrong one. It does begin with the CH though. One of the things that's an issue around the area that I'm talking about is uranium in the water supplies because of uranium mining in the past. And one of those towns had an issue with their water, and the federal government, EPA, told the people that lived there that it was fine. And when they finally had it Sholo, I don't know about Maraville. I think Sholo was one of the areas that up around there. Increased in cancers. Yes. But the EPA was saying it was fine. And it wasn't until a group of citizens got together and they got the water tested and sent the results to the EPA and whoever else in the federal government and said, something has to be done about this. I mean, it's all due to the mining of the uranium. It was like I think it was 40 times what's considered a safe amount in a water supply. I know of a teen who passed away due to living there. Most of the family had gotten cancer and died. Yeah, that's horrible. It's horrible. You know, it's bad enough that terrible things like that happen, but on top of it, the federal government lying to the people and telling them it's safe, just keep drinking it. That that should not be happening in this country at all to anybody. Well, that's the way things are continuing on so far. People people got to smarten up, and they got to get together if they want to change things. I know we all got to think of ourselves first. We definitely do. We gotta be at the forefront of doing what's right for ourselves and our families. A lot of Arizona has built in it and is expensive. We looked in Arizona and did not even recognize where I lived in Tucson, Tempe, and Yuma. Yeah, there's problems with the water supplies. And one of the issues, even though it didn't come up in the recent articles that I had seen about, and it's in the southern area, like Tucson and Chandler and that kind of area where they're running out of water, domestic water for houses, but there's state property that the state of Arizona gave the rights to farm it to the country of Saudi Arabia with unlimited water rights. And they're farming it for alfalfa and shipping that alfalfa for cattle to Saudi Arabia. And it's depleting the water resources for the people who live in Arizona. A lot of places they're running out of water. Well, yes, I mean, to do such a thing, to allow vast quantities of water that would otherwise be drinking water for the population, to have it used for any kind of commercial activity should be a secondary, not a primary situation with fresh water. Now, where I lived in Maine, I was near one of the areas that Poland Springs built a water facility because they spread out beyond Poland Springs, and they were up in a town called Kingfield, Maine, and there was a lake to the, I think it's southeast of Kingfield, and it's called Clearwater Lake. Well, originally it was called Crystal Lake, and I believe that's the Crystal Lake that inspired Stephen King for his writing about Crystal Lake. I remember seeing an old picture of the Grange Hall that had Crystal Lake sign on it. But anyhow, While I was living there, the facility got built in Kingfield, and after Poland Springs got up and running and sucking the water out of the aquifer, the lake water went down so much that the stream that exited the lake got, I don't know, a dozen times smaller, at least a dozen times smaller than it was. And foliage started growing along the banks and then down into where the stream was, closing it off more and more. I mean, that's a very noticeable effect from that, and they should be stopped. They should be stopped. You know, all the companies in this country that take fresh water and ship it out of the country should be stopped from doing that. That should be a no-no. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the plan, because there's a huge aquifer that's underneath Colorado. I forget the name of it. I think it was like I want to say Greenland Formation, but I know that's not right. Green Mountain Formation or something like that. And there's an deep aquifer that's absolutely enormous. And there has been a government group put together to decide who can have water rights out of that enormous aquifer. While at the same time, fracking is going on, which is above that aquifer, and they're pumping poisons into the areas where they are fracking to get the gas and oil, and they don't even have to file anything stating what they're pumping down in there. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize those poisons are going to make it into the upper aquifers that people are using, so that in the future people will have to get water from whoever has the water rights for the deep aquifers. And that's extremely wrong for that to be happening. Yeah, a lot of places there are running out of water. I'd actually prefer to find my way back up to Maine. There's plenty of water up there. And yeah, industries have contaminated it over the years, but not to the extent of fracking. I don't know if I lost you, Sophia. Is the government taking forestry lands for logging, fossil fuels, and other things? I thought I heard something. Well, the government, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, so-called manages native forest lands. I don't think they manage her here, though, at Osage Nation. I don't think they allow the government to do that. They're one of the most successful tribes in the country as far as negotiating with the federal government. but they have a group that decides what happens with the land as far as logging and fossil fuels and other resources that can be taken out of the land. In other words, they get a system in place, and it has been in place since the 1800s, to steal the resources from the Native American people and pay them pennies on the dollar. Perhaps the safest land is the native lands these days. Well, I thought that there's two reservations, Rosebud and Pine Ridge in South Dakota. I'm not sure if they're totally in South Dakota, but they're partially in South Dakota at least. And I knew a woman that came from Florida. Her name was Running Deer, and she got a couple of children when she was in the Carolinas that their parents had been arrested by the government and were going to be put in prison. And they were going to put the kids into foster care. And they came from Pine Ridge and Rosebud. They had lived in both places. I think each of the parents came from each of those reservations. So Running Deer went to the courthouse and argued with the judge that he had no right to put those kids into regular foster care, that the federal government says they have to go into a Native American household. And near the end of arguing with the judge asked her, are you their grandmother? She said, no. He said, well, you are now. And the kids went with her. I think they're in West Virginia currently. I know that they had moved there. We stopped and visited them there. But the people in Rosebud and Pine Ridge are very impoverished. Drugs is a big problem. Cartels coming out of Mexico is a big problem. So I would say that they also have the same problem that the rest of the country has, which is corruption. And corruption is what allows those evil things to occur in any land, whether it's deemed regular America or native reservation. Corruption can get into anything. But the people have to want better too. I've seen some people that are getting together in those reservations, and they're teaching the people the old ways of existence. Now, for me, I look at it, yes, the old ways of existence are good. I'm kind of interested in learning about the old stories, which Running Deer used to tell me some of the old Native American stories. But when it gets into stuff that's considered supernatural and that type of thing, if it's a learning lesson, I like to know the reality of the learning lesson. If it's not, if it's just a story which is more like a fairy tale, then I don't think that helps anybody. But they still have a large amount of land, Pine Ridge and Rosebud, and I mean they could have things very good for their entire population. They don't have to be impoverished there. With the resources that they have available, and if they could convince the people to, yes, go ahead, go back to older ways, go back to older building techniques and styles, and where the people that live at a place get their hands dirty and work on the stuff and raise their own food, and the people that are craftsmen that make some really cool stuff. I mean, whether it be pottery or jewelry or clothing or anything that the Native Americans in different regions are famous for, and it's because those resources were there. And yeah, they should do that. I mean, there are people that absolutely do those kinds of things. The ones that I see online, primarily, that are selling their crafts online, are living the modern lifestyle, though, which means they have the modern expenses. So where's the hobnail box? I will go pick it up for you. I don't know where the hobnail box is. I'm not even sure what it is. I don't need anybody to pick me up a treasure box, ghost dancer. I appreciate it, but I just assume if I knew something associated with it, to share the information so somebody else. Oh, the Fen box. Oh, the solve that I did leads to. I'll write it down so it's correct. Sometimes I don't always pronounce things correctly. Ironton, Colorado. And it's off $1 million highway. Exit at, I forget the full name, but you would find it if you use this information just looking online. Off the $1 million highway exit at staging area. Well, when I was kicked off Ben's Discord, like Sophia's saying, she got kicked off Ben's Discord. But actually, I don't know. I guess I was given a timeout and I just left because I was just annoyed with some of the stuff that was going on. But I was chatting about it one afternoon or evening, whatever it was, and Ben enters the Discord and says, "Why is Trusted talking about my solve location?" I thought it was funny. I didn't recognize it as Ben's solve location. I believed it to be the location that I argued with JCB about. But who knows? Maybe I argued with Ben about it. I didn't know who I was arguing with. And JCB seen it because it's not at the staging area that I believe it is. That's just where you exit the highway. But right where you exit there's an area that's a pond now, and it was originally a dump location and then a reclamation area for mine tailings. But since they've done the reclamation area there, it's now flooded and it's a pond. So if you go past that, it'll be on your right-hand side. Then when the road takes a right-hand turn, I don't remember the name of it, but it leads, along on it would be the west side of Brown Mountain. And it heads southwest down that way. If you follow that down, and I'm not sure how many miles it is off the top of my head, but there's a public restroom on the right-hand side, And when I solved the poem, I believe I solved it. In the end of the poem, it talks something about a white seat. I think that means the toilet seat in that place. But anyhow, if you look behind it with the right kind of map, you can see that there's a waterway back there, and it leads up along there's a big hill that's right there, and I think it describes something like the high water mark is where it is that a person's supposed to look for. But I'll tell you, there's a couple things. Number one, in Colorado, you're not supposed to be on private land without permission from the owner. And a person is responsible to know whose land they're on. That's why I'm telling you in advance, and I think that this is what Forrest used, and JCB is using it, that people can't just come in and take something legally. They have to ask permission to enter the property. But the property that I believe that it's on, which is behind the outhouse, along the hill where the waterway is, at the high level mark, it would be heading north at that point. But there's a few pieces of property that sold. I don't think it's the Uncompadre River. I think it's an offshoot of that river, which offshoots from it in Ironton, in the actual town of Ironton. But that property, if you do your research, it's a long, thin, pointed piece of property. It's pretty easy to identify when you look at a map of the properties. It's long and thin, and you'll find the right property when you find a long, pointed property. It transferred ownership in 2023. So I believe JCB purchased that property, and that's the property that the poem leads to. To the best of my knowledge ability. And the way to handle it would be discover who's the owner of it and ask permission. And that might be all it takes to be considered the finder of that. I believe that's the way that Forrest's treasure hunt was set up. And that's why one of the reasons he mentioned that, what did he say? They didn't know it was not the quarry they sought, but it was the chase. Because you're not going to be able to get to the quarry legally. So what you're trying to figure out is the path, the exact proper path to identify the specific location. And that's what I did with the original Forrest Fenn poem. That's the way I handled it. But I identified the place in an email on September 19th, 2019 to Forrest. And that's right in the time frame where his lawyer had stated that something changed between the end of August and September 23rd. Something changed because September 23rd was when Jack Stoop emailed him and asked, how are we going to handle the taxes on this? And I believe that's what changed. I could be wrong. I understand that. But for me, I'm waiting to be proved wrong. Because there is no proving being right. That doesn't exist. There's nobody to prove it to. But yeah, Ghost Answer, if you do your research and look for that property, the long pointed property behind the public restroom area, and you'll see how it fits into the poem. And some of the things that I used in the poem were just pictures that when you research the area and you look at the different identifying places in the area, they had pictures that worked with the poem. And I showed it all on Ben's Discord, and Ben jeered at me and said, "Oh, well, we had JCB here, and yeah, well, I believe I argued with them. What does it matter if you had JCB in your Discord or not?" And I even told him, I told him at one point in time, I said, "Ben, I think JCB is trolling you with this." I don't think it's in Colorado, but it's worth looking. Yeah, I recommend doing your due diligence before you go anywhere, and that can be done online to check out who's the owner of that property currently and how to get a hold of them. Yeah, and like I said, that might be all you need to do. I could be wrong, but I have no intentions of going there. So if there's actually something, if the box is actually in that physical location, I'm not going there. And it would make me happy if somebody did their part and checked out the owner of the property and asked permission, and it would be awesome if it worked out for them, especially if they didn't even have to go there first. Yes, X Maps tells you who owns the land and the property lines. Cool. BRB, I need to feed the cats or they will play with my screen and keyboard. All right, Sophia. I never heard of X Maps. Do you need a subscription to use X Maps? See, now you get me interested in looking. Yes, okay. Thanks for your info. If it's there, I will split it with you. That's very nice for you to offer that. You would have to discuss how to do that. See, and that's one of the things, and it's the same with Forrest Fenn's treasure. I don't think JCB mentions in his book. I don't have a copy of his book. I've only seen some of the stuff people were posting online. But he does. I don't think he mentions how the taxes are to be paid. And that was the thing with Forrest treasure. If somebody just went out there and took it, Forrest would have been responsible for the taxes on it. So I don't think that his treasure box was available for somebody to walk in and take it legally. And I think that was the stronghold that he had on Jack Stoof. Even though I think Jack Stoof was used as a retriever, there was still that stronghold. No tax if it was gifted. Yes, for the receiver. But gift tax is paid by the person who gives the gift, not the person who receives it. That's why if you're ever rich and you give away more to one individual than, I think the current amount's $15,000 a year, you give somebody $15,000 without having to pay the gift tax. But if you give away more than that, you either have to pay the gift tax or number two, you have to file some document that puts it against your estate tax, because you can give away a certain amount in your estate when you pass away, and you can do it either before you die or have it set up in a will for after you die. But anyhow, that dollar figure would get money taken away from it. So you couldn't give away as much when you died if you gave away money while you were alive. But you got to be very careful. That's what I'm saying. If you ever find yourself being a rich person, do not go giving money away to people, but especially over $15,000. You fine. You got family members. You can figure out what it is that you would want to do, but be very careful about the taxes. You do not want to get stuck in a predicament where the IRS says you owe a gift tax and you didn't file your proper documents when you gave money away and all this kind of shit. You don't want to get stuck there, especially when your whole intention was to do something good. I mean, I got something that's going on in my life that's been going on for 35 years that somebody told me they made a beneficiary of an account for me. And that person has since passed away last year. So I know if she did what she said she was going to do, I know what it is that she would have had to do and how it secures things. It's the kind of stuff that rich people know, and they share it amongst their family members if they care about them. But the average people don't know the rules. They don't talk about them. They don't share them with their family. Poor people are taught to be poor, even though it's not on purpose. I mean, I grew up in a poor family and I was taught how to be poor, which is fine because my dad installed a very good work ethic for me, which served me very well. I had a 40-year career. I retired at 55 and I raised a family. Had a wife and a family and built my own house. And from that point on, I always had a house. At least one. Sometimes I had more than one. So, there are good sides of those things. But as far as financial things, most poor people or working class people don't teach their kids right. Or they make demands and tell them to do certain things and don't explain why. And they don't literally sit there with a piece of paper, and they tell people, oh, you got to save money, you got to save your money. Okay, I got one of those passbook things to save money, and I didn't see anything happening or that much of anything was going to happen. If my mother and father showed me the 30-time rule, which is, it comes from a story where people said that there was a guy that offered to work for somebody and the starting pay would be 1 penny. And he would get paid for each day that he worked, and each day the amount of the money would double, and he had to work the guy for 30 days. So he'd have a penny and get paid a penny for the first day, 2 pennies for the second day, 4 pennies for the third day. And the average person would say, well, gee, that doesn't work up to very much money in 30 days. Do the math. That 1 penny with doubling each day comes up to be over $8 million in 30 days. Good night, Sophia. Thanks for stopping by. So think of it in 30 years. My parents said to me, don't worry about it. You know, if you only had a penny in there and you had 2 pennies in the second year, so you would have 3 total, but you got 2 more pennies, and then you just got 4 pennies, so then you'd have 7 the third year. Don't worry about it, because you're not going to see the big increases until much later on. Heck, I got a bank account in a credit union. That's pretty cool. I had 2 bank accounts there. One of them got closed because they were doing, back then they were doing the lack of activity, and once it got below $25, they just wiped it out and closed the account. But the other one, they kept going. And then eventually, like 3 years ago, they started giving me a dividend of $25 each year. So that account, even though there's not a lot of money in it, but it just gets put in there year after year after year. When it was down to like $11 when I had stopped using that account, but they didn't close it. And now they give, everybody gets a minimum, gets a $25 dividend from the credit union, no matter how much money they get in there. So that's pretty cool. Now, if a child got to see that, and they started off with $25 in it, and it was doubled by the next year, that'd be pretty impressive for them. And then they'd be inclined to want to add to it. To me, it seemed like I was going absolutely nowhere with scratching for pennies to bring to the bank. It seems stupid to me. But I was smart enough to join a labor union, the bricklayers union, when I was in my early 20s. And I had retirement funds and annuity plans and stuff like that. So I still didn't have to save money the old fashioned way. It was an automatic thing just for continuing to work. Did I lose your ghost answer, or are you one of the 2 people that are still here? I think I'll toss some more wood in there and get the flames up. I'm here. I'm watching on my TV. Cool. Is it a flat screen or a projector? to go see if I got some good sized pieces that are dry. Oh, one dry one anyhow. Ow, that hurts. That hurts. Bloody blisters. All right. That should. I'm going to turn in. You have a good night. All right. Looks like I might have missed you already. You have a good night, Ghost Dancer. I'll see you around. Those flames ought to get kicking up pretty soon. Smell of wood smoke is nice. Very nice. Chili, yeah. And a little bit of chili side. A little bit closer. A little bit closer. Oh yeah, warmth is coming back. boys are roasting in there. Get some fresh coffee. I'm back. Oh, there's two people here watching. Whoever you are, you're welcome to make a comment. I don't have anything particular to talk about. Just made this fire out here to sit out here and enjoy it, and I figured I'd put it on a live stream so other people could enjoy it too. Oh, I know what I should do out here. I got a couple cast iron pans I could clean up. Right, my tortilla pan. pretty good. I'll put some shortening in it. Perfect. Look at this one. Light in there for you. Making sure there's no buildup of residue there. Very nice. Finish that off later. Till it cools down. Right. So we can use a clean. I could use some food. These are delicious. We got here 450 calories per can. Chef Boyardee mini raviolis, Meatballs. Oh, yummy. Nice quick little meal. A snack. Mm. You can see how the inside of the pan's doing. Onions. It's pretty dry now. I'll sandpaper. That boy's hot. Hot, hot, hot. Shorten that boy. There we go. Light it up. It's hot. That is hot. Seems about it. Hopefully it won't blast up into my face. That's hot. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. There is an awesome moon out tonight. Bad boy. Looks pretty full. I'd say that is a full moon. With the clouds up there. The clouds up there. Looks like it has an aura around it. I don't know if it's coming through on the screen or not. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. It's more in person. The reds on the outside are much more clearer in person than on the screen. And the orange, yellow, and the white. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Da, 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 da. Okay, back to my coffee. Get this pan, cast iron pan, not a pot. Cast iron pan. That son of a gun is going to be plenty hot now for sure. Set it down on a rock. Set it down on a rock. That bad boy's gotta be hot too. That'll rinse. That'll cool it down. Okay. Let's leave that up there. So, show on stage. Why did that pop up? Grab one of these. It's pretty hot in there too. Get rid of that wiper. Oops. I don't put my hand in there now, do I? Kinda do. Oh, baby. Makes more heat. Beautiful night. This is the way spring's supposed to be. Oh, like last year. Oh my goodness. Rain after rain after rain after rain. Messing up my garden. Drowning it. Drowning it. Oh my gosh. Boston mispronunciations. Drowning. Dang. Oh my gosh. Park the car in the harbor and collect the insurance. another thinner piece. One or two thinner pieces. Yes, I do want to put my hand in there. I think it's about time to start using the chainsaw around here. Come on, you. Flame up. Come on. I'll get it. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, puff the magic dragon. Go. Go. Come on. Come on. Puff the magic dragon. Go. Come on. You're right on the verge. You are right on the verge. Right there. Little vortex. Come on, little vortex. Come on, little vortex. There you go. There you go, little vortex. Yeah. You're right in there. Come on, little vortex. If you were in the sky, you'd be creating a tornado right now. That's the way. can see it. See the wood gas coming out in the back. There it is. It's pretty much smokeless. There's a little smoke still coming out. And because it needs is another opening down the bottom. It'll work better. That's what it needs. Yeah, because it doesn't really have an opening there. That's the bottom ash pan. It needs an opening above the ash pan, or a few openings, but I don't want to put extra stuff. I just, whatever I put in there, I can put some holes where I'm going to cut the door out. I can put one in each corner on the bottom part where the door is going to be. On the back side, I won't do nothing with that, where the exit pipe is going to be. You're welcome to comment, whoever it is that's in here. I don't have anything particular that I'm talking about. I'm just sitting outside enjoying fire in this nice weather. for Daeg.